Assalamualaikum. It's a privilege to have Nosh here, who is the Vice President of Customer Development at Unilever. So welcome, Nosh. Good to have you here. I think I have had the good fortune of knowing you for a decade, in which I've also reported to you. In a career really that has spanned now over 2 decades. What are your recollections of the early part of your career, and what kind of an impact did it really have on you?
It's an interesting question, the first one. 20 saal pehle, if I rewind it, I picked up finance as a major and I graduated from IBA looking for, so there were 2 things that I was looking for when I graduated. Ek jo shayad aaj tak true ho, that when you are there, part of the batch, you want to land a job with the highest pay within that batch. And then second one was really to become an investment banker. Interestingly, none of that happened. But anyways, बहुत सारी चीजें जो लिखी होती हैं वो बहुत different होती हैं, the way you plan it. And then, as it would happen, Unilever, to be honest, was never in the consideration set. Marketing major mein tha nahi. Unilever was always known for brands and marketing or sales. I was none of that. And marketing, I said, nahi yaar, itna to main creative hu nahi, ki main marketing, this is not, again, my forte, not something I was very excited about. I finally decided I'm going to position myself in sales. Lucky as I was, I got into Unilever. So anyways, first year when I started, I was sent to Faisalabad for my sales stint. And what a wonderful stint it was. And I think it developed my interest within the sales function. This is where I learned, what happens when rubber hits the road. Spending quality time with the salesman, who is effectively Unilever for the retailer. He carries the image of the entire organization. And I was route riding with him, I was shadowing him, going and learning how he establishes the relationship, how he introduces the innovation, how he uses various tools and techniques to maximize his revenue and deliver his targets. By the way, at that point in time, it was all paper, and I will come to that probably later, some point in time. कि जी पेपर के ऊपर हमने ऑर्डर लिया, फिर वापस आए शाम के अंदर, सुबह में एक ब्रीफिंग होती थी, ब्रीफिंग होने के बाद आप वेयर हाउस में जाते थे, वेयर हाउस के अंदर देखते थे कि क्या क्या चीज़ डिलीवर हो रही है, क्या टास्क्स हैं. So yes, this was really the first or bottom leg of where Unilever goes and executes in the store. And as I said, that this shaped the leader in me that I am today, which is effectively, at the end of the day, how a strategy really translates into an execution at the level of the sales guy. How do you ensure, or how do you fix or solve the pain points of the salesman? What are the challenges that the retailer faces? And how do you make this machine work? So becoming more human, becoming a bit more grounded in the way that trying to have at least some kind of a connect between a strategy and the execution. And then, yeah, that is what then helped me throughout my career.
I think, coming back to the, the tech space, if we really think about FMCG in the developing world, while the developed world obviously saw a lot of disruption in the space in the last, let's say, 50, 60 years, whereby, your, organized retailers kept on becoming bigger and bigger. But FMCG in the distributive trade space of the developing world hasn't really seen any disruption that you would see in other industries, ride hailing, for example, or, I don't know, hoteling industry, for example. But most of the changes that have happened within the FMCG space so far have been incremental. What kind of role have you seen tech really play, change the lives of a salesman or an area manager, that somebody that you were 20 years back? And how do you think that role is going to evolve in the next couple of years?
Great question. And then let me Let me start my response from saying that while I agree with you, I think retail industry, specifically in Pakistan context, while we have seen a lot of evolution, it has not been as disruptive as we have seen the disruption, which is more technology-led disruption in some of the other industries, be it banking, be it hospitality industry, restaurant industry, etc., etc. As I said that 20 years back, the system was very much people dependent and very much brick and mortar dependent. Starting from दुकान के साथ रिलेशनशिप इस्टेब्लिश करना, ऑर्डर लेना, ऑर्डर को प्रोसेस करना, प्रोडक्ट को दुकान तक पहुंचाना, उसको दुकान के ऊपर मर्चेंडाइज करना, ये सब कुछ पेपर पे हो रहा था.
And relationship driven.
And relationship, because as a human you would go, establish a relationship, pick up the orders on a paper, come back, paper के ऊपर process हो रहा था, and then this is how the machine was learning, machine was running. Now with that, evolution started happening कोई 2003-2004 पहले फेज के अंदर, as I said, कि इस प्रोसेस में कुछ पार्ट्स पे हमें ऑटोमेशन नजर आना शुरू हुई, जहां कुछ ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस ने, while it was very investment heavy, I still remember it became such a big project to do a Salesforce automation that we had to call in a consultant from South Africa, and he first deployed this in top 10 cities, जहां पे सेल्समैन के पास पहली दफा एक हैंडहेल्ड टर्मिनल आया जिससे वो डेटा ऑर्डर रिकॉर्ड करता था. अभी भी रिलेशनशिप का ओनर वो था, और ये डेटा एक ऑफलाइन मेथड में रिकॉर्ड होता था, शाम में आता था, प्रोसेस होता था और अगले दिन दोबारा चला जाता था. बट दिस वाज द स्टार्ट ऑफ द जर्नी ऑफ गैदरिंग सम डेटा to move away or to start moving into building more sharper plans, and one size fit all था, वहाँ से हम आहिस्ता आहिस्ता करके अलग होना, थोड़ा सा evolve करना शुरू हुआ. So that was the first that came in, and then came in when the revolution of Android technology or the smartphones reached to a certain critical mass, because then when smartphone came in, then this effectively ये जो handheld terminal था got more democratized and एक app की form में आ गया, which means access इसका आसान हो गया, सस्ता हो गया, and it also brought in some more tools and technologies, be it location based technologies, etc., which then further allowed you to continue to evolve this sales system. That's one part of it. Second, as I said, because हम इन दोनों को अलग नहीं लेके चल सकते, which is retail evolution from a very traditional informal trade. जब पाकिस्तान के अंदर ये modern trade players ने, and you were part of that, of course, journey, when they started seeing Pakistan as an opportunity, 200 million population, rising incomes, urbanization happening, and clearly I think there was a opportunity that they saw that by providing an experience and convenience, they can create a space and evolve the retail further or disrupt the retail further.
Actually, this is what I wanted to ask. I mean, one of the reasons that organizations like Unilever started to hire people like, let's say, Yasser or myself, was they anticipated or expected modern trade evolution to happen at a breakneck pace. Now I think we are like 10 years ahead into that journey, and we have realized that nothing of the sort really happened. Our resilient general trade continued to survive. And do you think we will see any changes by these modern trade formats further, or will this resilient SME backbone of the country continue to find their way of continuing to exist and grow?
इसका short answer is जो मैं जब लोगों से बात कर रहा होता हूँ तो मैं कहता हूँ कि I think हम we will leapfrog. We will probably, if you look at developed markets, they went from traditional trade into the big box, and now they're coming into a small box or a dark box. The question is, do we need to go through the big box? In absence of the small box or the dark box, I think big box शायद आपको जाना पड़ता. अब मेरे ख्याल में हम इसको leapfrog कर रहे हैं और हम उसी phase में से गुजर रहे हैं. I think in these markets, the relationship between the small retailer or the informal retailer and their shopper, I think they underestimated it.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more loyalty, and the loyalty is underpinned by a lot of value or service that they give to their customer, whether it is in form of credit, in form of home delivery, in form of return policy. So, अगर आप आज अपने कस्टमर का जो जो वैल्यू इक्वेशन है वो इक्वेशन सॉल्व नहीं कर पा रहे from a big box, then somebody else comes in and tries and solves that. So hence I see that you will see more of a leapfrog. Having said that, the shape and form of a retail evolution means, will the store get modernized? Of course they will get modernized. Will they offer more shopper experience in the store? Of course they will do more shopper experience in the store. So it's more, the word is, yes, they will modernize, they'll become more omni, but it will be primarily, as you called it, more of a phenomena, which is a SME phenomena, where these owner-led store phenomena, because as I said, the other factors that they bring with them, which remains very much part of our society at this point in time, the relationship, the other services, we are, at this point in time, I do not see us moving too far from that.
This is $1 million or perhaps $1 billion question, but do you think a retail disruption is on the cards?
It is, yeah, and all those macro factors are in place, and I don't see a reason why it should not be. Unilever just had a quarter with 14% of our sales coming from e-commerce. Our competition, Procter & Gamble, has about again 16 odd percent, and then L'Oreal, for instance, is now 1/4 of their sales coming from. And it's not just that, it is, they're growing 7-8 times the traditional channels. Which then means, of course, it will evolve. How can it not evolve? So, अब अगर इसको थोड़ा सा playback करें, मैं दुकानदार हूँ, मेरे पास access है technology का, information का, transparency है pricing की, multi source कर सकता हूँ. So, हम term use करते हैं, I want what I want, where I want, and when I want. That's the new behavior of this retailer. Coming into Pakistan again, what has technology done? So the technology, there are two parts to it. So one is, of course, the behavior side of it, on what customers or consumers want. That is understandable. But then there is another side to it, which is, and that's why we call it a tectonic shift. It is no more we're not even, I don't think so when modern trade came in, we call it a tectonic shift. In addition to behaviors, two more things are happening. One tectonic shift that we're calling is the nature of competition is no more those organized, traditional big competition. It's now what you call as the local lions, more agile, faster, much sharper in understanding consumers, and as I said, that the cost competitiveness which used to come from scale is no more a competitive advantage.
And a lot more agile.
Correct. The second part that, as I said, is specialization, on-demand services, even in the downstream distribution or supply chain. The whole role of distributor is disrupted. Now you do not need one distributor or one party to provide these services. On-demand services means that all these components will have specialists available out there. Number one, हमारे traditional जो salesman-led, distributor-led एक distribution model FMCG का था, that was inefficient in many ways, from relationship till delivery of product. And since it was inefficient, and the only way to solve that was to leverage technology. And today, you see that there are solutions available, but in a different ecosystem, which will be a completely evolved ecosystem. So hence, as we have seen in China, as we are seeing it in India, sitting today, I think this will be the single biggest disruption that at least I see happening in the very near term. This is not about next 10 years. I'm literally talking between now and the next maximum 2 to 3 years, that we will see this whole distribution system almost being deconstructed and reconstructed. So existential challenge in many players in this downstream supply chain. Wholesaler,
Yeah.
because while wholesaler was surviving, because as I said, they were able to service these small stores who were not covered by the FMCG direct distribution system, or they were reaching to them only once a week. But today, do we need them is the fundamental question. Distributors, shape and form of those distributors. So yes, we are at that tipping point of that disruption.
Thank you so much, Nosh. I think maybe one parting question that I would like to ask is, we have come back full circle, right? We started working in sales when it was extremely uncool to work in FMCG sales, to now when the industry is getting a little disrupted, not a little disrupted, but disrupted, and we see now that this has certainly become an area where graduates do want to at least consider working openly. What advice would you give to somebody who is evaluating a career in sales and distribution today within this ecosystem?
In my perspective, this space, which is FMCG downstream distribution, is going to see the next big disruption in this country. And then what does disruption means? As I said, it means you reimagine and you recreate. While disruption may bring its own challenges, but I personally see that we are going through an absolutely exciting phase in the sales function. So hence, exciting space, a lot of innovation happening in this space, a lot of experimentation happening in this. And I can tell you right now, in 5 years' time, this will not look the way it looks like today. So who do you need? You need cool people to come and do all these things, and it is the coolest function.
Thank you so much, Nosh. I think I could gather a lot of enthusiasm from you, and it's exciting to be in this space, and I hope that we are able to bring about a change that moves the GDP of this country forward, which is precisely what the country needs right now. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharoon, for inviting me over. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.